All right. Welcome to World of Dungeons Turbo, Dirty Secrets of the Black Hand. My attempt to, I'm Richard, and this is my attempt to mash up World of Dungeons with the World of Darkness. Last week we kicked off we met our heroes and kicked off our adventuring. And I will let the players sort of recap that soon after they introduce their characters. We had two players not able to make it back for the second session, but they have been replaced by the incomparable Brian Wiley. Am I saying that correct, Brian? Was an awesome player, and I'm really glad could join us. And Jesse and Phil are back, and really excited to get started. I am going to ask everybody to do really quick character introductions, and then we're going to recap what happened last time and find out what happens with the mysterious figure who is now in the door of this wrecked plane. And let us go to let's start with Jesse.
Hi, so I'm Jesse, and I'm playing the former military sniper turned hunter for the Catholic Church, Daniel Jepson.
Yes. And then Phil.
Yeah, I'm Philip. I'm playing Nate. He's a rescue diver who now needs to rescue himself from some strange underworld, it seems.
And Brian.
I'm Brian. I'm playing Gavi Haruta. She is an academic, a medical doctor, a weirdo who can use magic, and a heavy smoker.
Nice. All right. Last time you guys set out to escort a strange artifact that Antoinette Salvatierra, who is a funder of vampire hunters across the world, thought could be very important to New York, so that the writing on it could be translated. You got it onto a private jet, and then what happened? We'll start with Phil, and see what you remember from last time.
Yep. We noticed that the turbulences in the air weren't actually turbulences, but they were trying to lower the plane. And when we confronted the cabin crew, turns out at least one of them was a vampire, others were probably ghouls, and the fight broke out. And yeah, they kind of succeeded to down the plane, even if we fought them off and survived this whole thing.
And Jesse, what about you? What's your recap? What do you remember?
So, over the course of that fight, it became clear that we had been over empty ocean, but that attempt to bring us down sort of shifted us somehow. We went through a weird space. I don't know what to call it. Visually, from the windows, we could see something was up, and then we sort of settled. As the fight sort of ended, we came to this city, this sort of like ghostly city. The buildings didn't seem quite fully, if I remember this right, like they were sort of kind of at least translucent, at least at first. And then the plane sort of crashed, but very gently, into a garden space in this city. I believe we killed one of the crew, the vampire, or at least immobilized it, captured one, and one took off. And then there was this strange figure in the doorway, this wolf-headed figure who asked us where Nurgle went.
Also, it was getting dark rapidly as the thing approached, and I think the last thing Nate said was, "So where the hell are we?" Asking the figure after it inquired about Nurgle.
Anything significant that we missed there?
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I think you got it all. So you are shortly after this wreck, which was strangely gentle. You were certainly tossed around and beat up, but not as much as you should have been by a small plane coming down onto a hard surface. The plane was flying weird towards the end, and it landed as if the ground wasn't always there, or was not there until all of a sudden it just was, and it kind of sort of skidded across this park or garden. And shortly after you pried open the door, one crew member got away through the front windows of the plane. The broken front windows of the plane. One crew member died, I believe, and then the one who seemed to be a vampire but with very strange teeth was immobilized when you were able to open the forward door of the plane. When the entire park or garden was just sort of eclipsed by long shadows, and a wolf-headed figure stepped into the doorway of the plane and demanded that you tell him where Nurgle is. And let's pick up in one quick question: who had the artifact?
Maybe I had it. I'm sitting in the back, and I'm a little embarrassed. Gavi doesn't like to fly, so that's probably why she wasn't directly involved in the fight. She was a little knocked out on some stuff that she prescribed herself, but she's woken up clutching the relic, and she saw the door get opened and this strange entity.
It was knocked out of somebody's hands at one point, so I think Gavi having it right now is good.
Okay.
If you did not have it, then I'm pretty sure that Sylvia would have handed it to you. And you see this figure, and the shadows begin to sort of creep in. Like, it's already dark. The electrical systems in the plane have been knocked out, and it's gray outside, which means it's even darker in here. And now the darkness seems to be creeping in, almost like it's some sort of almost like it's a smoke into the cabin of the plane, sort of engulfing you. And you see the figure against the gray outdoor sky. Say, where is Nurgle? And what do you do?
Guys, do we know what he's talking about?
I don't.
It's just us. Is Nurgle the guy that left? One of the crew members left. Maybe that was Nurgle.
Gavi, it's hard to see in the dark, but against that gray sky background, you see the wolf-headed figure sort of turn towards you, and you hear a sort of growl as it opens its mouth, and you see those super pronounced canines. I don't have time for games. And it starts to move towards you just as Reginald, who you've been with, starts to move towards it. And they both sort of move at the same time, and you hear what you're guessing is Reginald's body just sort of slam into this thing and start to tussle with it. What are you doing?
I want off this plane, so that's what I'm trying to do.
So you're kind of diving for the door?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I make for the front of the cockpit, scooping up my jam pistol as I go.
Gotcha.
And the idea is to sort of come around, as opposed to going through the door head on, to come around from the side. I know the pistol's not going to do me much good right now, but at least I have it.
And what about you, Nate?
Yeah, I'm grabbing my equipment, and how was our hostage? Is he still alive? Is he
It is hard to check him out right now. If you want to check him out before you dive for the door, you can certainly try to do that, but it's pretty difficult to do. And you're going to need to roll with insight.
Sure.
All right.
That's not too good. I have an insight of 0, so it's a 4.
A 0. So all right. You reach down and you try to get a sense of whether he's awake, and you find out that he is indeed awake and somewhat sentient. When his teeth bite into your arm, and this is the vampiric figure who had just the jagged rows of teeth, no pronounced canines like you'd seen on other vampires, but just jagged rows, like all the teeth were jagged and super sharp. And it just bites into your arm, and you feel it. I'd like you to roll a d6.
Okay. Okay. 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's how much damage you are taking.
Oh man.
As he bites into your arm, are you bounding for the door now, Nate?
Where do I note damage on this sheet? Is there...
Sorry, 1 second.
Hit points. Okay.
Yeah. It's that old-fashioned hit point word.
Yeah. Just had to find where it was.
Yeah.
I bet there's still time to shoot him in the head as I leave.
Yeah, you bet what?
I bet I can still put a bullet in his head as I'm leaving.
Roll with prowess if you want to shoot.
Sure. Versus 1. That's an 8.
An 8?
Yes.
You are turning to sort of bound out of the plane, and it's a private plane, so it's not hard to jump to the ground. It's not like a 20-foot drop the way it would be if this were like a commercial jet. So you get in the doorway, and you can't really see the park, but you can still see the gray sky. And you fire your gun, and you see sort of the burst from the tip in the sheer, complete darkness. But something about the firing of your gun, it's not the you know about kickback from guns. You're not inexperienced at firing guns, and you hear it sink into him. But you hear it also like collide with the far wall of the plane, and then the whole thing just sort of vibrate almost like a bell. And then you feel you hear one of the wings break, and as you get kind of tossed slightly into the air as you're standing in the doorway, and the plane, as you do that, just sort of rolls away out from under you. And now the plane is like in this weird crack in the ground, and you're on your back. And it looked like shadows were falling over the park, but they're starting to fade now. They're starting to get sort of sucked into the plane. And it's like they're just sort of existing in 2 dimensions. They're just sort of running up the side of the plane into the door of the plane, which is now sort of facing, kind of facing the city, but now it's sort of facing upward into the gray sky. And now all of you can see that looking back. You can see sort of Nate sitting on the ground, kind of like suspended on the ground. Nate, I'd like you to do another D6 minus 1. And you'll take 1 off of this, your total.
Yeah. 2. Is armor helping?
Yeah, armor will help.
Yeah. So I'm at. Oh, I had armor, right?
Yeah,
Yes, I had armor.
I think so.
Yeah. Just need to put it up there. Yeah. So I'm taking 1 damage.
Oh yeah. Yeah, your hand is throbbing. The wind is a little knocked out of you, but you're able to get your legs out from under you. And there's this weird crack in the ground that the plane seems to be sort of just kind of nestled into.
Well, we're probably not getting the plane out of that crack anytime soon.
Nor are you fixing the wing that just sort of broke.
Oh, that's right. But as far as we know, Reggie is still wrestling with that strange creature in there, right?
You hear Reggie scream.
Mm.
And you don't see either him or Sylvia emerging from the shadows inside that plane. What do you do?
Right. Guys, I'm tempted to blow the plane with that thing on it. What are your thoughts?
Is the thing that on the plane? I thought the thing was outside the plane.
No, the wolf-headed thing was standing in the doorway and dove in. It started to move in to confront Gavi when it got sort of sideswiped by Reggie. So it was rolling around inside there.
Got it. Okay.
And now you're hearing Reggie scream. Are you thinking about blowing some C4?
Yes, I am.
And this is me as a naive GM, not really understanding how C4 works. Is that something you can throw, or do you need to detonate it somehow?
It's versatile.
Okay.
It definitely needs a.
And for the viewers at
detonator.
home, I'm being vulnerable and admitting I have no idea.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
How C4 works. Vulnerability is an important GM strategy if you want to avoid looking foolish.
That's true. I think that probably what I would think to do is to stick a detonator in it, crank the timer to like 60 seconds or maybe a minute and a half, and then let's say 2 minutes, and then apply it to the underside of the plane where the gas tanks are.
Gavi, this involves Nate moving out of the way. Nate, are you moving out of the way right now? Yeah, so you're moving away from the plane as it's sort of fallen into this hole and started to break, and you've heard Reggie scream. Oddly, Sylvia's not made any noise. So Gavi, as Nate moves away, you can do that and roll with prowess to see if you can get it into the plane and get clear, and get just as everybody gets clear of the explosion zone.
Okay. That is not my.
And you are feeling strange about the something here is weird, like arcanely weird. Like you've not felt something like this before, Gavi. So let's roll with prowess to
Okay, let's see how we do here. Visualizing. 10.
10. Nice. Nate gets clear. You get close and toss it just as you pivot to run back. And once you roll 3d6.
All right. Uh, 6, 2, and 1. 9.
And just as you are about to toss it, you hear Sylvia give out what has to be a dying scream.
Oh no!
Just as you toss it, not as not as it goes off. You hear Sylvia give off what has to be a dying scream, just as you're about to toss it. And you turn and pivot, and you hear the first explosion, which sort of comes out the door of the plane first, and then the walls of the plane start to break, and then you hear the explosion from somewhere under your feet, is what you guess is the engine that broke and sort of fell into the ground, or off the broken wing, blows. And then you see the fire sort of getting up to the upper engine. Now there is at one end of the park is sort of a large, kind of immediately opposite of the door of the plane. The door was sort of looking at it. Is a great dark building, and it looks almost like an old European university building. You know, it's got the big colonnade front, and then 2 stories and a dome on top. It looks like an old style academic building. Or maybe a government building of some sort. It is dark. There doesn't seem to be any motion around it. To your left, you see what looks like a kind of a classic sort of arcade, just a street with houses or buildings of some sort along it, and sort of a big promenade in between those, tree-lined promenade in between those. And again, the sky is just sort of a uniform gray. It's not like a dusk gray where it's getting darker in one corner while it's kind of purplish on one side. It is a uniform, bland gray. And to your right, it's just sort of open road or open street, just into grayness with sort of undefined buildings in gray sort of along each side. Which way are you headed?
Question about the sky. So is it gray, like with a uniform cloud cover, or does it seem like unnaturally gray?
It seems it seems freakishly gray. Like there's just sort of a gray light. At first you get the sense of a uniform cloud cover, but then you're not seeing the edges of clouds.
Hmm.
And it seems to be almost evenly gray in every direction.
Anyone have any clue where we are or how we got here? As I say that, I light a cigarette and start trying to then repair, unjam my pistol.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like Nate could use some medical attention too. Why don't we head for that building? How far away is that sort of academic-looking building?
Maybe 100 feet.
We can make that.
Yeah, let's get there and bandage up the bite wound.
Around.
Good. Was there an explosion from the C4, or was it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You saw the explosion first, kind of come out of the
Oh, that's right. And then the flame
out of the
spread.
door. The flame started to come out of the door of the plane before the rest of the plane started to break apart. And you're pretty sure that neither Sylvia or Reggie were alive in there.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
Was the sound what we expected, or was it muffled?
It was weirdly muffled.
Oh, that's odd. Yeah, let's hightail it over there and unjam guns and bandage bodies.
Yes.
You get there. There's like a 20-foot staircase kind of going up to what looks like the main entrance. There may be some entrances below the staircase or along the sides, but it looks like the big main entrance is behind some wooden stores that kind of a 20-foot staircase up to. What are you doing?
Do we want to go in there without knowing what it is, or do we want to just like duck around the side here in the shelter of the sort of stairway where maybe we're out of sight of the entrance and collect ourselves?
There are some shrubs along
Perfect.
the side of the entrance.
We'll make the shrubs our friends for now.
You're kind of ducking behind the shrubs.
Yeah, Daniel has a point. If we just go charging in there, who knows what's in there?
All right. Nate, you good with this plan?
Yep.
All right. You're ducking behind there. When you see all of the shadows that had fallen across the park, making it weirdly dark in that kind of flat two-dimensional darkness, just sort of suck into the plane. And then the area where the bottom of the plane was, it's now sort of facing you. Part of it just is pushed away. I mean, maybe it was just so weakened by the explosion that it was moved away. And you see something that looks like it's not even wearing clothes or anything that look like clothes, and it doesn't even have like a human civilized posture anymore. What looks like a wolf man of some sort, like out of a movie, sort of rip away portions of that near what used to be the door of the plane and start just crawling out. And it looks badly injured.
I take a deep drag on my cigarette and I say, well, I think it's clear where we are then.
And now you can see it has like extended claws, like 100 feet away, in the shadow. You can see against the light of the burning plane, and it's smoking, and it looks like it's just sort of badly limping. And limping towards this building.
Oh, great.
Are we like assuming it walks directly towards the building and into the door, the main doors? Are we in its like line of sight?
It doesn't seem to see you.
I'd say we
again looking badly injured.
I say we hang back and see what happens when it gets to the door, and maybe can I set up my sniper rifle to have a line on the door to the building, or is that not like base wise? Does that not make sense?
I think being in the shrubs, just sort of underneath where the stairs are.
Right. We probably can't even see the door.
Yeah, you can't quite see the door. You do hear it open though. These are big old wooden doors. And you hear it swing This is almost like and this is adding to the etherealness of this. This is almost like a Foleyed movie effect. Like a door should not make noise in this sort of precise, predictable way. But you hear, almost like you were watching the scene on a movie and a Foley artist inserted this, you hear the creaking of the large door, what must be those very large doors opening. And there must be two of them opening at once.
Sorry, go ahead.
And you hear a woman's voice start to address and she sounds very nonchalant. She sounds like she's addressing the thing moving towards the building, that wolfman looking thing. And it pauses and sort of looks up at her.
While she's talking, I kind of want to quietly take a couple steps back and see if I can get a visual on the door without being seen.
And one quick question I have before that. How many of you in character would speak French?
Gavi speaks French.
Okay.
I think Daniel can maybe, fake it in basic conversation, but like anything that gets too complicated, he'd get lost.
You hear her speaking French. You know it's French, Daniel, and you hear her. What it sounds to you, Daniel, it sounds like she's asking him how he is, just very conversationally, in a very blasé way. Mm-hmm. You hear a very idiomatic insult in the way she approaches him in French. And then you were going to try to sneak out there, right, Daniel?
Yeah, I just wanted to I just kind of wanted to get far enough out to be able to see her. And
yeah, kind of like move parallel to the building enough that you can get to where you can see up.
Right, without necessarily, hopefully without being noticed.
Right. So you're not going to break the line of the shrubbery, so you're going to move sort of parallel with the building, hoping to get far enough away. Mm-hmm. Make a prowess roll.
That is a 7.
Nice. Does the person on the stairs notice a sound from below, or does the wolfman notice movement?
So I think maybe what happens is the wolfman, by virtue of his wolf ears, hears the rustling in the bushes. As I'm sort of trying to move along through them. Does that work? So he notices that there's something happening there.
And then you hear kind of a snarl and a growl. And he starts limping towards you. All of you can see this, kind of starts limping towards you. Almost his eyes just pivot to almost exactly where Daniel is.
Oh.
That's not good.
No. I think I'm going to take a risk. I step out with my hands up. And say, I'm just I was shipwrecked here with the plane. I have no idea who you are or what's going on. I'm certainly no danger to anybody.
As he does that, what do the other two of you do?
Like, part of my goal was to pull his attention even more fully to me and away from them. That was the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to not put too much pressure on my wounded arm, but I still want to keep my rifle on this thing if in case this doesn't work out. So I might still slow it down a bit. So resting the rifle on some stone and remaining silent and trying not to be noticed.
So you've got your rifle pointed at him. What about you, Gavi?
I want to focus on giving some first aid to Nate. I definitely don't want any uncovered wounds because I know what that can attract sometimes.
Gotcha.
So I think that gets him 2d6, right? Is that how that works? Checking damage and healing. Oh, 1d6 for each of his unspent strain. So may not even need to use a
that's
a first aid kit.
I think that's on resting, right?
Yeah, that's on resting, which you guys have
that's
not
true.
had a chance to really do yet.
Yeah, so in that case, then I'll use a first aid kit to try to give Nate a few points back.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's see what we get. Come on. Oh, 2 points. Sorry, Nate.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to get some like spray on skin over the wound. That doesn't really reduce the pain. It stops any seeping blood.
That's something.
Yeah.
And guys, remember that when you spin strain, you can add a d6 to any roll.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so spin your strain.
What's for?
Its eyes come to rest on you, Daniel, and I want you to roll with resolve as you sort of try to surrender and sort of draw its attention.
And I'm gonna use a strain. That seems like a good idea. So that is, that and +2. That is 15.
Yeah, pretty good.
Or
Nice. Good use of strain, because you do not flinch as the thing comes towards you. And you get a sense that like people break just looking at this thing. It is you've heard Gavi maybe talk about lycanthropes or werewolves before. And this thing is gigantic. And it's not breathing. And it's not bleeding. It's just sort of smoking. And it's not breathing until it leans in close to your neck and takes a big inhalation from you. And then it starts to reach up to sort of put its big long claw around your neck. And Nate, what are you doing?
So, yeah, this Before it has the claw around the neck, I think I'm shooting.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Make that roll.
I roll plus
Prowess.
prowess. Okay. Oh, sorry, it rolled 4, so
You could roll a strain.
yeah, no, it rolled 4 dice on
Oh,
accident.
sorry.
Because it registered 2 clicks. I would be at a 7 at the moment.
You can roll a strain to make it perfect, or you can take the consequences of a 7.
Yeah, I think I take consequences and I can still roll strain to do more damage to the thing, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So I'm keeping. I'm taking the consequence for now.
It seems to hear you. Almost as soon as your gun goes off, you could swear this is the sequence of events you saw, even though that should be impossible. Your gun goes off, and as the bullet is flying, you see the thing pivot and turn and move towards you, almost into the bullet. Why don't you roll your damage?
Do I have to spend strain before the roll or after?
You can spend strain after the roll.
Okay. So I get a 6 in damage.
Do you want to spend some strain on that?
Yes, I think that's. I made an 8.
Nice. Okay. Your bullet goes straight through its heart and comes out the rear. You see the exit wound sort of like from almost inside. It goes through so cleanly, perhaps because he's running so quickly into the bullet. When all of a sudden he's right there and knocking you into the wall. Nate, I'd like you to roll a d6.
Two,
yeah. He knocks you into the wall, and all of a sudden he just sort of collapses to the ground, not moving.
Nicely done.
His eyes just sort of staring off into the side, and you hear a light round of applause erupt from the top of the stairs. And then you see you hear from in the distance the sound of a car sort of coming like in the direction of, I said, that arcade that's sort of like that of trees just sort of between the buildings, sort of moving in the direction of the of you, but you can't see it yet. And then you see a woman who you would swear looked exactly like Antoinette Sauveterre, descend the stairs of the building and stand in front of you and say, "Why don't you come inside before any other unpleasantness erupts?"
What language is she speaking in?
I'm sorry? She is
What
speaking,
language?
she
English?
is speaking English,
Okay.
kind of a French accented English.
Does she sound like Antoinette as well?
She sounds like Antoinette.
All right. Well, that sounds like a great idea. I'll gingerly step around the massive carcass and make my way up the stairs.
Did the wolf thing turn into ash or something like that, or is it just
It
not
is
moving?
just sort of lying there.
Hope it stays dead. You have an axe, don't you?
Yep. I was wondering, yeah, but probably good idea.
I prod it with my toe as I walk, as I follow Gavi.
And Nate, what were you doing?
I'm pondering if I should behead the wolf thing so it doesn't come back later.
You tell me.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Just one more thing. I tell the Antoinette-looking vampire or whatever she is, and I get out my axe and start shopping at the wolfman's head.
It is a Nate. What's your prowess?
My prowess is 1.
It's a bloody business, but it comes off just as you see a car in the distance, and she is saying, "Now would be a good time, Nathan." Or Mr. Bronson. And she sort of grabs your arm with a very cold hand.
Okay, yeah, I'm
And
getting in there after I'm
get
done.
it off, it just comes apart. It just turns to ash.
Yeah,
Good
that's
move.
what I thought.
That seemed unnecessary. His keepers will be annoyed.
Well, we couldn't have that thing coming back for us. It didn't like us.
Let us take a break.
Okay.
Let's come back at 9:00. My plan is to play. We were originally scheduled for 3.5 hours. My plan is to play to sometime between 10:30 and 10:45.
Okay.
And then let you guys go. So let's take a break. Come back at 9, and we will pick up.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right. All right. Welcome back. And I think I'm just going to summarize what you learned from Antoinette and give you some time to ask her questions rather than sort of play out the scene, because I want to get you guys into some more kind of hard pushing action scenes and out of some of the talky info dumping scenes. Antoinette expresses surprise that you are here and wants to know if you have the artifact. She tells you, since you are here, that that you are in Enoch, the first city, the biblical first city that has sunk over the millennia into the underworld. So you are in the realm of the dead. I think when Gavi makes that sigh, she clarifies that you are not dead.
Sounds good.
At least not all of you are dead.
Yeah. So one thing could be worse.
She tells you that she had sent the artifact to New York for translation. That much was completely honest, but her route for you was intercepted. Before she came to Enoch, by her own door, by her own methods, your plane apparently was intercepted.
Intercepted by its pilot and crew?
I don't have a better word for it. Hijacked by the pilot and crew also seems inappropriate.
Rerouted.
At the same time, the larger piece to which the relic you have was supposed to be the finishing puzzle piece went missing. A sarcophagus. That had been under the city. A tomb of an ancient named Nergal. Or at least that was the only name on the sarcophagus. She gives you a long speech about humans are not the first to have been hunted by vampires. Before humans were hunted by vampires, Lilith's children, the Lilin, were hunted by vampires. And eventually, Lilith's own 3 children, the last remaining members of her brood, were turned into vampires themselves, according to their story. And she believes the 3 vampires who sleep in Enoch are the 3 children of Lilith. But she's never been allowed to open the tomb. She was able to steal the piece off Nergal's tomb that you have on you, Gavi. But she's never been allowed to open the tomb. So she made an agreement with other vampires in this sort of vast, underpopulated city to steal one of the sarcophagi, Nergal's sarcophagi, and to open it. Those people seem to have betrayed her and disappeared with the sarcophagus on their own. She suspects, for cruel and inappropriate rites. She believes that the people who intercepted the plane were part of that group. They were trying to steal back the last piece in the hopes that that would help them open.
What do they hope to gain by doing that?
She does not know. But she does say that demon worshippers among the vampires have specifically tried to steal the sarcophagi before, and have their own stories about who lives inside those, who's buried inside those sarcophagi. Do you have questions for her? And I'll just do one each, just in the interest of time, and then see if we have more questions. But just to give each of you a question first.
So can she get us out of here? Like the realm of the dead?
I would hope that you'd be able to use the same doors I am, though you are alive and living things are not supposed to enter and exit the underworld. I would be willing to risk it if you were willing to do something for me.
What do you need from us?
Nurgle's tomb is missing. I think the time to act is now. I'd like to open another one of the sarcophagi of Aralu, who I believe to be Lilith's own daughter.
Who rules here? Who's in charge?
She rolls her eyes and says, "People of limited vision."
Can I follow that up?
Is the Delro? Yeah, and you guys can follow up with any questions you'd like.
So it's people. It's not the devil himself.
No, it's vampires like me. She says that of course, vampires are always really in charge.
See, I told you guys.
I look very sort of like simultaneously relieved and upset by that.
If there are many vampires in this city, and it's a city of the dead, what do they eat? How do they sustain themselves?
We keep our own broods here on a permanent basis.
Well, that's chilling.
My face turns a little green at that. So, what do we need? You've told us what you want us to do. So what's the next step, Antoinette? Let's. I was like about to say get the hell out of here, but let's just get out of hell.
Yeah, where can we find this tomb? What can we expect when we get there?
She gives you some sort of vague. She's like there's a place in the slums where we were able to access it the first time I pulled that piece of stone off of it. I can show you there. From there, it's this is not, of course, the legitimate path. So from there, it's rough going, but I believe you have someone who is equipped for this.
Unless the vampire bites my other hand, it should be fine.
Can we rest here for a few minutes?
Yes,
Okay.
if you're willing to. Actually, let's do it. She's like, yes. I'll come see you in a. She shows you to a small chamber that has sort of water and some very basic food, some very simple food,
Great.
some couches.
Uh,
You also notice that after you came in, the doors you came in are now just a wall, like a back wall.
That's going to make things challenging if there are other beings that can do that here. All right. Well, I will lay on one of the couches and begin to smoke furiously. Daniel, if you want to clear your gun, and Nate, if you want to see if you can get some more hit points back, then we'll be good to go.
Let's take a few minutes to let your character sort of breathe and see what do you guys discuss. This is also, there are windows in this room. Behind several thick, weird kind of levels of curtains, there appear to be windows where kind of a soft gray light seems to be coming in. You could escape from here. You could wait for her to come back.
Where's there to go?
Yeah, I think we are at her mercy. At least she's willing to talk, and I'm not sure we would find a way out of here otherwise.
I don't trust her.
Of course you don't trust.
No, definitely not.
She worked too hard to get us here, and let's not pretend she didn't.
Yeah. She probably sent the wolf thing to it. It was asking for Nergal after all.
It's not an accident that that you're here, Nate.
Yeah.
She wants your skills. And I sort of this is going on. My head keeping my hands busy by disassembling and reassembling the pistol and chain smoking.
How did it jam in the first place? During the firefight on the plane?
During the firefight on the plane, yeah. I guess you were asleep at the time, but you put as much care into these things as you can. But at the end of the day, machines will break, just like people.
That's true.
So we're not going to climb out the window and hightail it out of here, try and make our own way home.
I don't think so. I mean, I think she'll want to get rid of us once we're done. So hopefully we do this thing for her and she sends us on our way.
She's a monster. She has other ways to get rid of us than sending us on our way.
Well, that's true too. We'll have to be really careful at the end of the mission. And if we can hold something in, for insurance, even better.
Yeah. I'm sure the vampires are not happy if people knew about this place, so we'll have to keep our eyes.
Wouldn't want to end up part of her brood.
No. Ugh. God, we should have brought way more C4.
I still got a little bit.
Might come in handy.
Yeah, we still have some C4.
I feel like you guys have so much C4, it just means you don't really trust me.
What's trust in a situation like this?
We just really dislike walls.
So what can we see out the windows? Might as well take a look around.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
It looks almost like thanks, Brian. It looks almost like you're looking at one of the old classical sections of like Paris. It's all townhomes that sort of abut each other in kind of a grand sort of classic style around you, at least. And the sky is still that same uniform gray. You can
Are there signs of life? Like, do we see people moving in the windows of those homes? Are there lights in the windows of those homes?
roll with insight.
What is my insight? Not great is the answer to that question. And that is a 7. No, that's a 6. It's a 6.
You see movement in the windows, but you can't make anything out. And then for a second there, Daniel, you'd swear you saw Reggie moving along the street, looking lost and confused, and then you don't see him.
All body parts intact?
All body parts intact.
I thought I just saw Reggie out there for a second. Never trusted that ghoul.
We'll have to be careful while we're here. There might be, there could be revenants and apparitions, poltergeists of varying intelligence and hostility. They might try to trick us. We've all lost people.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to sit in the corner and pray. So,
Yeah, I will reapply my bandage on my arm.
like a quiet moment of meditation.
Yeah, I'll just, keep on smoking.
So after approximately an hour, the door opens and Antoinette steps back into the room. No knock. And she goes, "Oh, you're still here. Does that mean it's good news?"
We'll do this thing for you. We want your word, though, that you'll send us back.
I have nothing to gain by keeping you here. I should let you know, though, when you open the sarcophagus, if Aralu awakens, Aralu will be hungry.
I stand up, turn around, and cross myself at that. Okay.
If she remains hungry, you should be able to lead her back this way.
Well, we've agreed to be your good hunting dog, so point us towards your prey, and we'll dig her up.
You know, she's in sort of like active clothes. She looks like she's about to go on a hike.
Ah, okay.
She has sort of those nylon pants and a jacket, a small backpack. She says, "I'll take you there, and then you can guide me."
Sounds good. Let's see.
She takes you out of the house. And down the front stairs, which are not the front stairs you came up. They're on the opposite side of the house. And they don't go to a park. They go to a large kind of boulevard-style street with a median in the middle of it that looks almost abandoned. But Nate, what do you see in the street to let you know that despite appearances, there really are people inside those houses?
There are handprints on the inside of some of those windows that you see when you're walking by closely. Like the glasses are covered with them.
Daniel, you get a sense that somebody is watching. And what do you see that lets you know that somebody is looking out those windows at you without actually seeing a person?
I think it's not so much what I see, but what I should see and don't. Like I hear, like, as we're going by one of these buildings from a first floor window, I hear like a little bit of like a rattling, maybe a tapping, like an accidental bump, and I turn to look, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there, but like it seems as if there had like just been someone's face or pressed up against that window or something.
She suddenly veers and takes you down a very narrow alley. And you can't quite figure out why, but when you look back, you suspect what you see is the reason she veered away suddenly. What do you see?
Me?
Yes.
No. I think we see a couple dressed extremely well. Both of them so pale that they're almost giving off light in their own way. Walking past the opening of the alley that we just went past. A close call.
She makes several more turns like that. And you never see the face of anyone on the street. You only see their backs and at a distance.
Hmm.
And despite her insistence this is the first city, it seems oddly modern. I mean, the architecture is sort of neoclassic, but that's very modern, considering how old she is saying the city is supposed to be. I mean, it has modern streets and boulevards and parks and gardens. But then she comes to a wall with a giant crack in it. What tells you that this wall is far older than the rest of the city you've seen?
Sorry, were you asking someone specific?
Nope.
So maybe it's the way the stone is cut. That the rest of the city, it was either like very neat bricks, or sort of, if it was like more larger stones, and some of the larger, nicer buildings, they were like very evenly cut with modern tools. And this, you can see the chisel marks for each block,
Oh, wow.
as it was like, as they were carved out of whatever quarry they were carved out of, and they're uneven, and the cement, or whatever it is, the mortar that's used, is like kind of powdery, and so there's sort of like big gaps between some of them. Yeah,
it sounds good.
Nate, you see one hint that you are not the first people to pass this way. In the immediate past, someone has passed this way fairly recently. Everybody else seems to move past it, or not see it. What is it you see that says that somebody else has been here?
There is a spent magnesium torch that has rolled into a corner of a doorway.
Everybody else seems to be moving past that. Nate, how are you going into this space?
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous, of course, looking ahead. If there's someone, I'm slightly shifting my gun around so I can reach it more quickly, and I whisper a warning to my associates. Someone was here recently. And
that's when Antoinette looks very quickly at the torch and says, "We must hurry."
Yeah, I would touch the torch if it's still warm to the touch.
It is.
Oh, great.
Yeah, let's hurry.
You enter this sort of crack in the wall that's almost as big as you are, and this ancient hand-carved, chiseled out wall. And the darkness on the other side is probably unfamiliar to everyone, but perhaps Antoinette, who has been buried in a tomb before, and Nate.
Yep.
It is a darkness that sort of descends on you like a weight. There is absolutely no light on this side of the wall, other than the crack of gray that you just came through.
I'm going to take a minute to root around in my pack and pull out my night vision gas mask and put it on.
Okay. Now, night vision sort of relies on residual light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the word. Ambient light. That is the word I'm looking for.
But there's nothing.
But as you move further into that darkness, there is less and less ambient light.
Time to pull out the flashlights, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put the mask away. Let's. You're absolutely right.
Yep, I'm flipping on my headlamp.
Now, are you going first, Nate?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like you to roll with insight there.
That's a 6. I'm doing strain.
Okay.
So now it's an 8.
Gosh, gotcha. All right. And everybody rolled their strain to get back hit points, right? While you were resting?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're all topped out.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
somehow or another managed to get out of that fight without losing any.
You mean you got through a plane wreck without losing any hit points?
Plane wreck with a firefight? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sort of less impressed with myself right now.
I'm putting on my list of potential vampires.
Nate,
It's a very gentle plane wreck.
It's true.
you're used to this, but everybody else, everybody else is a little bit nervous. I mean, like you are seeing light in your flashlight beams, and Antoinette seems to be moving around like this is native to her. And she whispers to you, like she says, the path is different to the sanctuary every time. Nate, you are used to this, but for everybody else, specifically by everybody else, I mean Gavi and Daniel, it's like the darkness is almost concrete, the way it was when that thing appeared in the door and started moving that smoke-like two-dimensional darkness into the plane, blotting out your vision. Like as soon as like you can see the edges, almost physical, of your flashlight beams, and everything else around them is just solidly dark. I'd like both of you to make resolve checks.
That's a 10.
How did you do, Gavi? And you're muted, Brian.
9.
9. All right, Gavi, I'm gonna do a hit point of damage to you, just to sort of represent the anxiety of you are feeling. Actually, let's do a d6 minus 1.
D6 minus 1, you said?
Yeah, and I will give you a more concrete reason for it once you roll that.
Okay. So 1, I think.
So you just got 1. Yeah, you were getting very, very tense, Gavi, and you brush against one of the walls, and you feel, the first thing you feel is some wetness along the collar of the jacket you're wearing, or the sweater, or whatever it is Gavi is wearing. I don't want to take your agency away.
No.
And then all of a sudden, where that wetness is feels suddenly cool, and then suddenly very, very hot. And before you can pull that away from your skin, there was some sort of acid sort of dripping down the edge of the wall.
Oh, great.
A puddle on the floor, and you can see a little bit of, when you shine your light on it, it seems to pick up a little bit of the light and create almost a sense of luminescence.
All right.
You've got a burned red welt on your neck that would get past any armor you're wearing.
I mean, I'm not wearing any armor either, so I'll whisper to Nate and Daniel, hey guys, there, heads up, there's something dripping that is hydrochloric acid or something. It burns.
And Antoinette just says something like the Undercity is angry.
How close are we, Antoinette?
I told you the path is different every time. Nate, you can ask me one question about your immediate environment. And then let me know if you're ready to travel on.
About my immediate environment, like this labyrinth. So, are there any signs if the other group has come this way too?
I'll let you answer that. What do you see another one of those torches, or is it something else that your light catches on the ground?
Yeah, I think I see scratch marks as if they have been dragging something heavy through this tunnels.
Nice. And the scratch marks are actually, you can tell by the scuffing. There's older scratch marks going towards where you came from. There's newer scratch marks that seem to be like the way they're going seem to like pick up and drag towards where you're going. And this
someone dragged something out of here that has been dragged in before.
Or rather the reverse. Something dragged somebody out of air, but somebody is dragging something almost as big or the same size back in.
Heavy equipment, maybe.
What exactly is this place, Antoinette?
These are the catacombs of Enoch, the burying place of the first city.
Telling me what it's called isn't telling me what it is.
They're catacombs. They're where the first city has always buried its dead.
All the dead since the beginning of time of the city are buried here.
I don't know about all of them, but this is where they were supposed to go. And at the center of the tombs of the three that I believe are Lilin, children of Lilith corrupted by vampires. Nate, are you ready to move on? I'm asking you this outside, out of, just at a meta level, not in character.
Yeah, I'm okay with moving on.
I'd like you to make another insight roll, Nate.
Can I assist him?
Let's see what he gets.
Okay.
Usually what they suggest is that rather than assisting or adding a bonus, rather if he gets a consequence, you have a chance to try to pull him out of the consequence.
Oh, okay, cool.
7.
Nate, you're moving along. When you feel your face brush against a spider web, and then you feel the spider web snap. And this is not you realize one of those, like, it's not like you've walked into a complete web, Nate. It's like you've walked into one of those trigger silks that let the spider know where you are. Like they're put down specifically to break, so the spider knows where to go. And how fast do all of you move? And you can check your speed again really quick if you would like to see if getting rid of any equipment you've used up would increase your speed.
No, I think I'm still normal. Let me just double check real quick.
Yeah, I'm still normal.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like all of you to Nate, what are you doing? You feel this, you sort of know what it is.
Yeah, I'm scanning the environment with my headlamp.
So you immediately started kind of pivoting your neck.
Yeah.
And you see everybody sees Nate's neck start to pivot around, sort of, plannedly to try to like illuminate the environment. And you see that the tunnel you're in is suddenly filled with spider webs. Like the ceiling goes up very, very high. This would be a creepy. Last week, Brian, a palmetto bug decided to walk right across my wall in the middle of narration. I have a window sort of right there, and it seemed to have gotten in via that very old window, and walked right across my wall during narration, which added to both the creepiness and my personal embarrassment. It did not survive long after that moment. And you see, Nate, specifically in your headlamp, you see dozens of spiders descending to the point where you are. I'd like you to make a prowess roll, Nate.
That's a 9.
A 9?
Yes.
You are able to. What's your strategy for getting out of the way of these things? Drop and roll away, back up, scream loudly and flail at yourself.
No, I think getting forward, rolling would be the right thing to do here.
These things move at lightning speed, but you see Nate just sort of tumble forward and get away from them as they begin to drop. And in your headlamps, you'd swear you'd see them stacking onto each other. As if they were going to stand on each other, and then they start to form like the shape of a much larger spider out of their dozens and dozens of bodies. And you hear Antoinette mutter "Sacre bleu" and step backwards and start fidgeting for something in her jacket.
Are we separated from Nate at this point, or are we all together?
Yes, that is. It is this thing that this spider formed of dozens and dozens of other spiders is between the two of you.
Okay.
And Nate is in the direction you clearly want to go.
I kind of want to set them on fire, but I don't have a tool to do that with.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
All right, here's a. No.
I mean, it's just a giant spider. It's probably more afraid of us than we are of it.
Well,
I will also let you know that setting a swarm of insects aflame means that you have to fight a flaming swarm of insects.
That's an excellent point.
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe a flashbang could be helpful, like if they are sensitive to light.
Spiders do have 8 eyes.
That's true. It's worth a try.
What are you guys doing? Nate has acted, so I specifically would like to know what Daniel and Giva are up to. Giva, you still have that strange arcane sense too.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I just? This is like a wacky thing, but can I just cover my head and face with my jacket and just try to walk through this bunch of spiders?
You can just try to bolt through that. That's certainly
Like before they coalesce. Like I'm just going to try and cover my face up and.
So you're just trying to bolt them. You're just trying to bolt through them, right?
Yeah.
Roll with resolve.
Like I don't think I'm scared of bugs. A lot of.
Well, we'll find out when you roll with resolve. Resolve will tell.
That is bad. That's a 5.
Do you want to use some strain?
Yeah, I'm going to use some strain. Is that right? That's right. That makes it a 6.
Are you serious?
I am so serious.
Wow. Do you want to use more strain?
I do not think I want to use more strain. I think I'm going to find out what happens to me when these spiders...
Roll a d6 plus 1.
Oh, lovely. Hold on one second. Sorry. D6. Reroll selected. That is 2.
That is 2?
Rolling a lot of 1s.
They are getting into your clothes, and you feel at least 2 bites, and they're still on you. But you've definitely broken them up. But now they're all over you, swarming all over you. You felt at least 2 strong bites. Giva, what are you doing? Like I said, you have felt this weird arcane presence before.
I think I'm going to. Gosh. So are they what's the situation with the spiders right now? Are they on?
They are, yeah, they have been broken out of their big spider-shaped ball, and now they are crawling all over the ground and all over Daniel.
Oh man. Okay. We need something that can do an area. I'm gonna try to
an area that I am in.
Yes, exactly. But something that you can survive.
You have both techie and arcane.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up my mind to these currents of magic that I've been sensing since we got to this extremely weird place, and try to harness that while I pull a handful of sand out of my jacket pocket. I throw the sand in the direction of the spiders, and I'm trying to create a mini tornado effect so that the sand shards will, wipe out as many of these spiders as possible.
All right. I'd like you to roll with insight. Giva?
Okay. Gavi.
Gavi, sorry. I don't know why I could not.
Right. No problem. All right. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I am going to use a point of strain in order to get the 100%. So yeah, 8, 9, 10, 12.
Nice. Gavi, what does this look like as you do you speak? Do you just throw? What is the what does this look like?
Yeah, I'm mumbling some words from an old Bedouin spell book that I've put together after exhaustive research that does a lot of things with genies and sand and things of that nature. And just that, I've created this sort of mini tornadic effect of the sand, like a miniature sandstorm, basically,
Right.
that is, hopefully ripping apart these spiders and, kind of covering that area that Daniel is in.
The sand whips against you, Daniel, but it doesn't really get through your clothes. And all of a sudden you feel just the spiders flying off of you and being tossed back up into the webs above your head. Many of them are just sort of splatted against the walls. You're able to dig the ones that have bitten you out of your clothes before any get in further. One is about to bite right under your eye, and you can see it as you sort of lurch forward to try to get it away, and then you see it just peeled away. Ask me one question about the spiders there, Gabi.
One question about the spiders. Do I think they were poisonous?
Yes. But they were not natural.
Oh.
They do not look like a spider that you have ever studied or seen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you guys that too. I mean, look at this thing. It's engineered. Maybe a guardian of some kind.
Possibly. For sure, that's a new thing that vampires can apparently do.
Yeah.
Your Antoinette whisper, well done.
Yeah.
Nate, do you have any questions about your environment? You can ask me one. You can ask me two, but I may not answer the second one truthfully.
So, is there another ambush waiting in front of us?
Not in this area. Though the weird high ceiling and the cracked floor suggest that you're entering an older portion of the tomb, of the catacombs. But the dragging still continues onward.
I guess we follow the marks.
Okay.
Stand up and dust myself off and maybe pick a spider corpse or two out of my jacket.
A wet, squishy spider's corpse. Nate, are you ready to move on?
Yep.
Why don't you roll with insight again?
That's a 6.
A 6?
Yeah.
Do you want to take some strain?
Sure.
How much strain do you have left?
Now 1.
Now 1.
Yeah, but it's an 8 now.
Nate, you're moving along. When almost you hear the scraping of like a pottery or ceramics of some sort. And then all of a sudden a fired pit just like a fired piece of clay just falls within a few inches of your head. And there's a powder of some sort inside it that's spreading throughout. And you just hear Antoinette go, "Don't stop. Don't stop."
Yeah, I'm making sure not to breathe in, and I'm hurrying forward.
Why don't you roll with resolve?
That's a 7.
You don't feel anything right now, though you have a strange taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Hopefully not a strange metallic taste, or things are going to get weird.
A strange metallic iron.
Oh, no.
Kind of a flat, rusty taste in your mouth.
Boy.
But Antoinette is whispering to keep moving, to keep going. Nate, are you ready to move? And we lost Brian. 1 second. Let's see if he can rejoin real quick.
But yeah, I would be ready to move.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and roll that?
We lost Brian.
Yeah, I was going to check to see if we can get Brian back.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Thank you. I was about to switch over to Google Hangouts and see if I can message you. So yeah, we're just going to make that one more roll.
Yeah, I have a 9.
A 9?
Yes.
What were you rolling for?
Moving on.
Oh, for moving on, yeah.
And then like a sudden wall. You all feel suddenly colder. Like a deep cold in your bones. Like you have no body warmth whatsoever. I'd like all of you to roll a d6 minus 1.
Two for me.
2?
I got a 3.
3?
I've got a 6.
Oh,
so a 5.
Yeah.
My thought.
That is the damage it does, is that cold just sort of settles into you.
Is armor helping?
Armor will not help. Because this is inside. This cold almost comes from inside you, though you feel it outside as well. Like I said, it almost feels like you have no body heat. And you are moving on in the darkness, in the cold. Nate, is there anything you'd like to know, or would you like to move on?
Let's keep moving.
Okay. Roll with insight one more time.
Five.
Do you want to spend that last strain, or do you want to hold on to it?
What would be the consequences of spending the last strain?
You just don't have any more strain to spend.
Sure, I'm spending it then.
All right.
Let's try to get where we want to go. Now it's an 11.
There we go.
Nice.
Excuse me.
Nate, you see two things. You see the pathway ahead fork. And you've been moving in sort of a spiral, and you've been sort of able to rule out pathways both by the marks on the ground and by the fact that there's only been one path forward that's wide enough to drag something like that through. And, clearly they move something in and they've moved something out. You hear the sound of dragging from this fork way up to the left, but to the right, you see a very, very, very soft glow, like candlelight, like something very gentle. And you smell the smell of burning beeswax. Not paraffin, not the cheap candles. This is the smell of beeswax.
Okay, how close is the dragging?
It's hard to tell in the dark. Make an insight roll, if you'd like to know.
No. I don't make that roll.
What do you have?
A 4.
4. I don't know why the dice are against you tonight, Nate.
I just don't have very much insight. I'm more skilled for resolve and
you can't tell how close the dragging is. But the chanting can't be more than 200 feet away.
yeah. I would guide us into the direction of the light. We can still follow the dragging by the drag marks, since they are probably slower than we are. So light it is.
Are you guys trying to proceed? And Antoinette says yes, towards the light. That will be the flame of the sarcophagus room.
If Nate and the Mademoiselle both agree, then yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And what a relief it is.
Yeah, let's sneak up on them, I think.
So are you going forward quietly?
Yeah, I would turn off the lights too.
Oh yeah.
How are you feeling your way forward without light? I mean, you have a little bit of ambient light.
Yep.
This might be a good moment for the night vision goggles then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'll throw them on and lead the way.
Yep, and I probably have moved in near complete darkness before, so that's
yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling it by the walls and my sense of direction.
And
how about you?
I put my hand on Gavi's shoulder.
We could also connect each other with a rope. I have climbing gear with me.
Perfect.
Do we want to be that constrained in our movement when we reach the people, though?
I'm sure there are those carabines you can just click in and out of a belt.
Now, Antoinette hangs back behind all of you.
Yeah, there's obviously some reason that she wants our help. So,
I mean, she's told you what happens when you open the tomb, or when you open one of the sarcophagi.
Yeah.
Gavi and then Daniel. I think Nate's had to do enough of this. Gavi and then Daniel. Make resolve rolls.
Eight.
8.
And I've got a 9.
Do either of you want to spend strain?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. You don't think anything is amiss. But you start to feel like that smell of beeswax is sort of cloying and sweet. And I'd like both of you to take a -1 forward, is that it's just kind of heady.
Mm.
And you're sort of feeling that headiness. And all three of you hear the disciplined sound of someone moving around in the chamber up ahead of you from where that candlelight is coming. And from somewhere back and around or weird, I mean, it's coming from behind you because the fork is behind you. Is that vague, faint, almost just in your imagination sound of chanting. And like I said, you hear the sound of somebody shuffling very, very quietly in almost like a disciplined step.
So the shuffling is from behind us, you said?
No, it's from in front of you.
Got it.
That vague sound of chanting. It may just be because it's haunting in your imaginations is coming from behind you. And like I said, that's only come from behind you because the fork is from behind you at this point. And that chanting was coming from the other direction in the fork.
Yeah.
All right. Keep on moving forward.
Yeah.
You seem to be very, very quiet. And when you reach the area of the lamplit, you find yourself in a round room, and there's other pathways leading into it from other directions, about the same size as the one you're in. And that heady smell of wax burning is getting thick in the air. And there are candelabras mounted in walls. And there are 3 men in black suits. And then 2 women also in sort of like pantsuits. All of them in sort of a uniform shade of black, standing in the room, and then apparently they don't seem to be breathing. They're that quiet, but apparently periodically, with 6 corridors leading into the room, they'll just sort of move around and sort of rotate so that they can each see. They're essentially like, kind of going clockwork around the room periodically, so that each of them can see down all 6 of the hallways. And then they just sort of resume a resting position. Like I said, incredibly disciplined. And there are 3 sarcophagi, or there are 2 sarcophagi in the room, and then there's a space where it looks like one was dragged out.
Aha.
Do we? I have a question.
And I might say, you might guess, with one of them recently stolen, people have been sent here to guard the rest. Yes, and I'm sorry, Daniel.
I think it's time to make sure nothing else gets out of here. Let's blow the room.
Blow the whole room?
Blow the whole room.
That might tick off what's her name?
Antoinette.
You mean the monster?
Those sarcophagi are metallic, bronze, and they seem very heavy.
To be clear, the idea isn't to destroy the sarcophagi so much as to destroy access to them. She's a monster.
Yeah, but we got to get home.
Oh, yeah. Also, you guys are remembering that are we kind of flashing back to a conversation you've had?
Right. We don't want to get
I mean, if you start talking, they will hear you.
Right.
You can flash back to a conversation you've had.
Yeah, I don't think we actually had an opportunity to have this conversation. It's the truth, though, right? She's been with us since she told us what the deal was.
You can talk about your plans or your desire to blow the sarcophagi when you get there. She had told you what she wanted you to do.
Yeah.
All right.
You can still lift up the C4 and wiggle it
Right.
Describe how you're communicating. That's fine.
Yeah, I think I like that idea. I sort of like hold up the C4. I'm behind. I hold up the C4 and like raise my eyebrows. I don't think it's actually a good way.
Now your plan is to cut off the access to this room and destroy everyone inside it, right?
I think this is definitely what Daniel wants to do. Daniel does not trust Antoinette in any way, right? He looks around him and all he sees is monsters, and he doesn't really have a way home. The best he can do is keep the monsters from getting the thing that they want.
I don't
know that I'm thinking about this more. Like maybe I haven't communicated this to you. Like I don't know that there's been an opportunity to.
You've had lots of opportunities to talk. So.
Yeah, we could have discussed it while we were resting at Antoinette's place. But
you can definitely respond to his values that you discussed while resting, and you can also respond to the offer to blow C4. Gavi, you are the closest to Daniel.
Okay, I'm gonna make a
and you can most clearly see what he's saying.
You know, like wait, be patient, like kind of motion. And I wanna try to enter the room, and I don't know, is there any way to enter this room without being in their line of sight?
There doesn't seem to be.
Then I'm gonna try to approach them.
Unless you could create a distraction down one of the halls or something like that. Like I said, there's 5 other paths. There's 6 paths in and out of this room, 5 others beyond the one you're in.
And so far, they haven't seen us.
You rolled very well, so they have not seen you.
All right, then yeah, I'm gonna try to create a little what do you call that? Like a little minor spell, a little
cantrip.
A cantrip, thank you. A little cantrip to create a like a noise of murmuring people down one of the hallways, like whispering people.
So you're going to try to manipulate the space around you, and you've never had this much control over a space before, Gavi.
Yeah.
Where you felt like you could just kind of wildly manipulate the space you're in. But you feel like you could do some strange shaping of the world you're in right now. Why don't you roll with insight?
Okay. 7, 8, Fine. I'm going to use a point of strain. $14
14.
with the strain, yeah.
So I think what you have is all of a sudden the sound of chanting comes not loudly, but definitely clearly from the hallway opposite you. And one of the women motions at the three men, or the other woman and two of the men, and they go running towards that sound.
Okay. So that still leaves us with one woman and...
Actually, let's say you've got the one woman, but four of them are gone, running towards that sound. Who knows how long that'll keep them gone? But you did do a beautiful job of making that.
All right, good.
Clear, and it sounds like it's coming from far away, but still kind of crystal clear, echoey.
All right, I'll give them a minute to put some distance between us and them while they run down the hall, and then I will enter the room.
Just walk in?
Yeah.
She moves as if to scream. Not like scream as in fear, like scream as in alarm, raise an alarm.
Do our guns have silencers?
Mine probably does, since that's...
Then shoot her.
Mine almost certainly does not. The sniper rifle does, but the pistol probably does not.
Right.
Whatever you guys can do.
Yeah. Then I will shoot with the silencer, which probably still gives kind of a enough noise to be heard in a cave system, but
right.
But it might obscure the direction a bit.
Yeah. Well, nice pop, pop.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Roll with prowess, Nate.
Woohoo!
That's a 10.
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Nate,
Beautiful.
roll your damage.
Yes.
It's a 6.
A 6?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're out of strain, so...
Yeah. A 6 is fine.
Your shot is silenced, but her yell as she... her curse, which is... in a language I don't think any of you know Slavic languages, do you think?
Nope.
All right,
Probably
yeah,
not.
you don't hear you hear a yell, but you don't know what she's yelling. And she grabs, and she's not bleeding a lot, and the blood that's coming out is freakishly dark. And you see as she opens her mouth that jagged row of teeth on both sides.
Oh man.
And she turns to look at you, Gavi. What are you doing?
I have my let's see. I'm gonna yell. Let's see. I don't want to draw more attention. That'll make a ton of noise. All right. So I've got my my Bowie knife out, and I pull my night vision goggles off so that they're not, in case somebody wants to whip a grenade. And I want to try to keep these sarcophagi in between me and her.
As you do, you notice that there are clear markings in multiple languages. They've been added over time. The ancient ones are impossible to read. They're in that same sort of quasi cuneiform, but newer ones sort of are somehow translating it, sort of indicating what they say. And one of the sarcophagus between you and her is the one that says Aralu.
Ah. And to be clear, Antoinette wanted us to open that, right?
Yes.
For whatever reason. Okay.
Now it looks fairly firmly sealed.
I'll probably need help. All right, I will concentrate on staying alive then for the moment.
Okay.
I'd like you to roll with prowess to kind of get there between she and you.
Oh man, this is a terrible idea. What was I thinking? 5. I think that I'm going to use a point of strain. 9.
9. Do you let her hit you, or is a sarcophagus overturned on top of you?
Oh, I am not going to be pinned, so I'll let her hit me.
All right, let's roll d6 plus 1 as she bites you just on the shoulder.
Okay. Oh, hold on a second. Oof, 5 points.
5, yeah, you take 5 points of damage as she bites in, as she kind of leaps over the sarcophagus and comes down on top of you and bites into your shoulder, causing you to shriek in alarm. But you're able to kind of dart back away from her and not get the full brunt of what she could do to you. She's, you see her move kind of supernaturally fast. Daniel, what are you up to?
So I think that as that's happening, I'm gonna go in to try to help her out. And I think what I do is sort of so the last thing, I think what I want to do is just kind of try to tackle her,
right,
from the legs to try and get her tangled up and immobilized.
Nice.
So it's sort of like a run and a dive.
All right, make a roll with prowess.
Roll with prowess. Sorry, my mouse is getting a little.
Actually, let's make that resolve.
Great, that's even better.
You are grabbing something that moves lightning fast, and just sort of throwing your full weight at it.
The 3, I'm going to use a strain. Do I want to use a strain? Yeah, I'm going to use a strain there.
How much is
it? It was a 5, and then I got another 5. So that's it. It was 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 5 is 10.
And you're adding your resolve to that?
Yeah, it's a 10 with the resolve.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you've got her pinned down for now. But you hear footsteps coming back towards you. Nate, what are you doing?
I'm moving over to the pinned down vampire, but I'm warning my colleagues and then throwing a flashbang down the hall the other vampires are coming in through.
Nice.
Okay. Let's roll with prowess.
It's a 7.
I'd like you to roll 2d6.
5.
5. Roll another one in there. That's lame.
Yeah. Now it's 7.
7. All right. You hear hissing and screeching from down the hall, and you see in the light of your flashbang just before you turn away, 3 figures sort of against the dark. And you smell the smoke that smells like their skin. As this flashbang brings near daylight conditions for a split second into this downstairs, this deep underground area, traumatizing them very, very badly. And then all of a sudden, Nate, you are slammed, knocked down by a vampire who literally appears just from the shadows. It's one of those 4 that went down the hall. It's one of the men. It's got dark skin, dark hair, and he's like trailing darkness sort of behind him, much the way you saw that kind of werewolf thing do earlier. And he pounces on top of you, knocking you to the ground, and bites onto your neck. Or moves toward, as if he's about to bite onto your neck. Daniel, what about you? What are you up to?
So I mean, I've got this vampire entangled. I think what I want to do is try to stake her.
Yeah.
It's going to be tricky. The stakes are pretty high, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I'd like you to roll with prowess.
Mm-hmm. So that is a 5. I'm going to use... Well, here's the question. I think I just want to use my lucky.
Oh, that's great. That is a smart decision.
I think rather than use the last strain and maybe fail and then have to use lucky anyway, I'm just going to use lucky and avoid all penalties.
So cross out lucky. You've used it. You almost lose her as you are pulling that stake out and getting into position. But then you trip, almost letting go of her, knocking her off balance as she's trying to like push forward against you to break your hold, and she impales herself on the stake.
Beautiful.
And goes still.
Oh, nice.
Gavi, what are you up to?
Thank you, Jesus.
I am going to real quick. I'm going to heal myself. What I want to do is I want to heal myself with a first aid kit, and then I want to look at.
Do you have? Yeah, you have medic. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to look at Aralu's tomb to see if sometimes these things have got devices on them. There's ways to open them sometimes that aren't necessarily brute force. I want to see how I can get this thing open.
So I'm going to let you heal yourself real quick.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want to look at the tomb or do you want to heal yourself? Just one thing.
I got to heal myself first. I'm hurting.
Okay. All right. So that's your plan for next time.
Yeah.
Nate, what about you? You've been pinned down by this vampire who's about to bite your neck. It is hovering over you, coming in for the bite. What's your plan?
I want to bring my knife up and stab it in the mouth when it comes down.
Roll with prowess.
That's a 7.
Can I help to?
Let me tell you kind of what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then you can try to you can try to assist really quickly to prevent the bad thing happening to him.
Got it.
Though you might make it worse if you don't do a good job of that. Nate,
Always a risk.
you can't get into position to get the mouth, but you get the knife up under the collarbone as it comes down fast, as he comes down fast towards you. And he's just about to bite your neck, despite the blood already coming out of his mouth from the stab wound. Go ahead and roll 1d6.
I have Slayer. Can
Yes, you may.
Oh yeah.
Please use it.
Yes, so I will roll 2d6 for my damage. That's the 6.
All right, nice. Blood is coming out of his mouth as you've got that knife sort of like, and you can actually see it protruding from the back of from his rib cage, just the point. But he's just about to bite you anyway. What's your plan, Daniel?
So here's the question. This is more like I guess a mechanical question. Like, if I try to shoot him before he bites Nate, is that an aid roll or is that I mean, I guess it's an aid
There's
roll.
not an aid roll. You'll make your own prowess roll. But doing that, if you're successful, you could potentially avoid the consequences to Nate.
Right, and is the -1? So just I realized I had that -1 forward back from before.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
That was on the last fail, which I failed anyway and used lucky. But
right. Yeah. So then don't worry about that.
Okay. So yeah, I think I'm just going to try to shoot the vampire in the head.
All right, Nate. Sorry, Daniel, go for it.
And is that do I just roll straight prowess roll?
Yeah.
Okay. 13.
Oh.
Don't even roll your damage die. You hit him just so that you pierce right through the spinal column at the base of the skull, knocking his head completely, and he just starts to wither. Man, right there on top of you, Nate.
Didn't even get to roll my extra damage die for shooter.
Wow, nice shot.
And he's just sort of barely hanging on to a form as his body is trying to turn to powder. But you see, sort of in the edge of the lantern light, the badly burned and damaged vampire start stumbling forward into the room. The three others. What are you up to there, Gavi?
I'm starting Operation Sarcophagus open.
All right. Roll with insight.
Okay.
Actually, roll with resolve.
Resolve? Okay. Ho-ho! Yeah, it's not even worth a point. So 3. I'm stymied.
You're stymied?
Yeah, I got a 3 total.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot he calls failure stymies in this. Or what do you mean by stymie? I'm not.
I mean, it's just me.
Okay.
I'm prevented from succeeding.
I thought that was a game term that I completely forgotten. I apologize.
Well, I'm going to add it in my next game. That's a good idea. I like it. Yeah.
What's your approach to trying to get this open?
So I've got my my tech kit out, and I've got my Bowie knife out, and I'm I've got like an LED light, and I'm kind of looking for like a catch or a release, a button, maybe something in the writing that indicates how you can get this thing open without having to rely on the patriarchy and get some guys over here to help me open it.
You get the wedge or in the light in there, and you can't quite see. And then you place your hand to balance yourself right on top of the sarcophagus. And then you feel the heat coming from it. and you hear a voice say, "So hungry." I'd like you to roll 2d6, Gavi.
Okay. Ten.
And the three vampires shriek, not in alarm or anger, but in abject fear. And Nate and Daniel, you look over to where Gavi is. Gavi, with your hand resting on top of it, you feel the heat and your hand starts to burn. You pull it back almost instinctively as the lid of the sarcophagus blows open and falls, hits the wall.
Oh, man.
I shout, "What the hell are you doing? We don't want to let this thing out."
And you don't even see what happens yet, Gavi, because you're sort of positioned, you're crouching sort of against the edge. When you feel something grab your hand, and then you feel teeth sink into it, right at your wrist. You take 10 hit points of damage.
Oh, Jesus.
And you feel that deep, deep, deep cold in your bones again. So hungry. As your blood just sprays within this thing's mouth. And you're feeling like it's about to just bite your hand completely off, except it's just got those two canines protruding into your... What Nate and Daniel see in a woman in a very sheer silk robe, almost like something royal or regal. Like it's a, you can tell it's very faded now, but it was once either indigo or black, something that, you know, suggests wealth. And she sits up, and she does not look like a human. She's got horns curving down towards her ears, coming over her head. And she's almost got like a snout-like mouth.
Huh.
And she's got very long, graceful arms, almost disproportionately long. And you see her just as Gavi is like crouched down there trying to look at the edge of the... She's just twisted Gavi's arm and bitten into it. And she's sitting up there, and you hear the "so hungry" whisper, even though her mouth is not moving. And then you see Antoinette step into the light and just whisper, "Aralu." And Gavi, she has you grasped by the arm. Nate and Daniel and these three other vampires in the hallway are screaming. And one of them just breaks off and starts to run.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Is there any reaction?
What do you want to do?
I want to bring the ceiling down. What I want to do. I don't particularly want.
I agree now. I agree.
Underneath it, but I do want to. I'm willing to sacrifice myself for that.
Yeah, we still have two sets of C4, so it's a possibility.
It's true. Is there any reaction from Aralu when Antoinette?
No, she's busily feeding on you.
Is the vampire that attacked me? Has he turned to dust already, or is he?
Oh yeah, he's kind of like he's still sort of like he's mainly gray, ashy skeleton at this point, but he's pretty much gone.
Okay. Too bad. I would have thrown the vampire in.
I think I have to try some. My last bit of like maybe potential anti-vampire arcane magic, or else I'm gonna die. You guys mind if I go?
Go, by all means. I was trying to figure out a way I could get you out of that, but
I guess we are just putting up a C4.
They're getting the detonators ready.
yeah.
I want to.
Now I gesture and point to the C4. Point to the C4 to the various different locations where it seems wise.
So I want to try a spell. I want to mutter it in the language of the angels, and I want all these candelabra in the room, all these lit candelabra, to flare up until it is daylight strong in there.
That sounds like a crazy idea. I hope it works.
I hope so too.
Gavi, try it.
All right. I do have 1 point of strain left. But I'm going to roll boxcars. I won't even need it. Bam! No, I do need to use it.
What'd you get?
I rolled a 6.
All right.
That's an 8, but I'm going to roll for strain too. So 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12.
Oh, you got a 12?
Yeah, with my strain.
Roll 3d6.
All right. Nine.
Not bad. You roll 3d6 again.
I'm trying to get away from this thing if I can.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9 again.
Antoinette screams and sort of falls to the floor, holding her eyes. And smoke is rising off her skin. The two vampires who were still in the corridor are trying to kind of come forward with their already burned bodies from the flashbang. Just vaporize.
Yes.
As does the one on the ground. I would like to know what Nate and Daniel are trying to do. She sort of screeches and pulls back and looks at you. Very, very, like, not frightened, but very, very, or angry. Very, very interested in you.
Who's
Gavi.
Okay.
Nate and Daniel, what are you doing?
I mean, I don't think I'm trying to. I'm sort of not surreptitiously at all. Just like at this point, overtly. Like there's not much. Place C4 at strategic locations in the 6 entranceways, so that they'll collapse the tunnels and you can't get out.
I'm going to have you make an insight roll for that.
Ooh. That's a thing I'm not good at. I think I saved my last strain. 6 plus 0. I'm going to roll one more. What? Oh, there it is. That makes it a 9.
Um, you think you've got them placed. You've just kind of hustled around the room as everything else is going on, and you think you've got them placed.
I don't want to detonate them yet, just to be clear. I mean, maybe that will be the consequence, but like the goal is to place them. But I want to give the other guys a chance to get out before they blow.
When you hear a voice from behind you, and it's saying something very loudly and very coyly, almost as like it's calling a child. Go, Aralu. And she turns and looks in that direction. Aralu. And she sort of hisses right at you, Daniel. But not at you. It's something behind you.
Behind me. So just I want to get a sense of the space. So I'm in one of the
six
entranceways. So the sound from behind me is coming from out in that tunnel.
Yeah.
Got it.
And she is clearly angry at that. She was not angry at she was intrigued by Gavi. She is angry at this.
Nurgle, maybe.
Nate, what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm also in with blowing up the place, so I guess it's C4 time.
Are you gonna do something to detonate the C4 that Daniel was placing?
Yeah, I'm putting in some of mine as well, and then I'm up for detonation.
With all of you sitting there in the room?
How are the chances of detonating it if you're getting out?
I shouted at him, "Do it! We can't let these things get out of here."
Wait, what? No, there's still time.
You're not, Gavi, you're otherwise occupied.
Has she let go?
Nate?
I think I'm giving myself a chance. I'm stepping into the hallway and
Nate, I'd like you to roll with resolve.
Yeah. But I want to detonate from the outside at least.
You're hoping.
Yeah.
This is going to take an incredibly steady hand.
8, 10.
Oh, nice.
Nate, you're able to throw yourself sort of behind a corner. And I'd like you to roll 3d6 twice.
Damage, or...
Yeah. That's not for you. That's for Antoinette and Aralu.
Sorry.
Only 3d6 were rolled.
Oh yeah, those are four-siders. There you go.
Yeah, not sure why they're in there, but yeah, so the first is a 9.
Yeah.
The next is a bit higher.
Wow, yeah.
What is it?
14.
14. Daniel, go ahead and make a 3d6 roll.
Six.
Gavi, I'm not going to ask you to make a 3d6 roll since you have 2 hit points.
Can I choose to take a scar?
You can.
Let's take.
And actually, Daniel, you're just a guy, and you stood there during the resolve. So I'm going to ask you to skip straight to 0 hit points and a scar.
Yeah, no, that makes an enormous amount of sense. Yeah, I'm broken.
What about you, Gavi?
Let me look at the scars.
I am hazy, so my speed is now slow.
Yeah, broken.
And Daniel, Gavi, you smell something because the darkness overtakes you almost immediately. The crushing darkness. And you really can't hear anything except for the tinnitus, the intense tinnitus in your ears. And both of you hear Gavi shouting no as she realizes you're about to blow the whole place. You both see, you're pretty sure Antoinette's head come off. Though you don't really have a sense of it falling anywhere or anything, but you see it come off of her body and go flying. And then you smell an intense sense of iron. A deep, intense sense of iron. I can fix that real quick, Brian. Or Jesse, 1 second.
I think I got it.
Okay, 1 sec. There we go. And you hear a voice that just says, drink. And go home. And you feel something wet against your lips. I'd like both of you to make resolve checks to avoid inhaling it.
Oh, I'll drink it down.
Oh, you will?
Heck yeah.
What about
I'm
you?
dehydrated.
Oh, no, I'm definitely rolling. I do not want to drink that. And that is a 10. Sorry.
After holding it up against your chin, Daniel, she lets you just fall. And you hear her walk over to Gavi, and you hear the sucking sound. And she whispers to you, Gavi, where are you from?
I am from Argentina.
Where in Argentina?
From Buenos Aires.
And Gavi, it's nighttime in Buenos Aires, and you were looking out in your shaken, broken form. as you feel yourself sort of knitting back together, over the streets where you grew up as a child, in their modern, more industrialized, more commercialized forms, as even Buenos Aires cannot escape the gentrifying force overtaking cities.
So true.
And you hear a voice next to you, and you hear you feel a hand against yours, as this kind of clawed, elderly hand takes yours. And she looks at you, and she sort of shimmers, and there's sort of a sense that she's not other people are not seeing what you see, as people just sort of walk by you on the street without looking at you. And she says, "Let us go explore it then."
Who says you can't win role-playing games?
Nate, what happens to you? You're lost in the catacombs.
Yeah, I guess I'm crawling around there, looking for an exit, trying to find a way back.
You survive and get out. What sacrifice do you think you make once you get up there under interrogation from a group of vampires that allows you to return to the mortal world?
I have to submit to some blood magic by them. It's about erasing the memory about this place, but once they're in there, I don't know what they are doing, so they can mess with my head, but that's the only way to get out.
I like that.
In a year, I think you find yourself exploring ancient crypts and tombs and using your spelunking skills to go under into buried forgotten portions of old cities, to find things that vampires have left and thought forgotten and perhaps lost. And you're not sure you remember why you like them or why you're working for them, but your life has become comfortable. And sure, you have to work very hard to forget things you've seen, especially when you return things to your masters. But you're very, very, very well paid. What's your sort of the last thing we see? What's the closing shot of Nate?
I think we see him look at the familiar, like he meets someone familiar from his hunting days in the streets, and there's a hint of memory in his eyes, like he was realizing what he has done these last years, that something went terribly wrong.
Daniel, you don't die.
Oh, I don't?
No. Something large and ancient finds you and forces your mouth open, and you eventually have no choice after a while but to drink. When you return to the mortal world, what's the one sign that only you see that you have betrayed your original calling? And no one else seems to notice it.
I think it's like a very simple thing. I think I don't go to daily mass anymore.
Huh.
Like,
what happens when you try?
I don't think I try. In all
the time you were called to meet somebody in a church.
Right. So, like, I think I walk in, and when, like, I used to really feel God's power in church. Like it was a real palpable physical thing to me. And, you know, the ritual of communion was like a very visceral feeling, the smell of the incense, right? The taste of the body of Christ. And I think I have to go to church for a meeting. And maybe it's around the time of Mass, and I walk in and it's just the building and the incense. It's not heady. It doesn't have that like strong, powerful smell that like gets at your guts. It's just perfume. And I do actually decide either before or after the meeting to take communion, and I don't taste the body of Christ. I taste a cracker. Like it's just not. It's not real anymore.
And what church official do you see the face of Nurgle?
Oh wow. I think it's the sort of he's a cardinal. He's a cardinal, and he's the sort of the one who oversees the church hunters.
Oh.
Like the one who sort of was like, this is the person who's in charge of the branch of the church that I was a part of.
And what's the final shot of Daniel?
I think the final shot of Daniel is he's it's after that meeting, and he walks home to his apartment, and sort of like goes up to the roof of the building, and he sees the people down in the streets walking. It's still daytime, and it's a busy street, and as he watches the people walking, like what the audience sort of sees, it's like the camera moves from his face up to like a overhead shot, and like the people almost sort of transform into ants.
Nice.
Like there's not, their humanity is kind of God. They're just these rote creatures, and it's sort of like from his perspective.
And Brian, what's that very last shot of Gabi?
I think it would be, years have passed. Perhaps at one point she even ran into Nate, who barely recognized her. She hasn't aged, and she's starting to feel a sense of desperation, and it's just this wave of humanity, this sea of humanity walking down the wide boulevards in Buenos Aires, and she is completely disconnected from them. And that connection that she used to have to them through history and through medicine has been completely wiped out. And just a slow pan out into the sky from there.
All right. Thank you, guys. That is the last session of Dirty Secrets of the Black Hand. Congratulations on all of you surviving.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it out there and say I think Daniel would have rather died.
I knew what Daniel wanted, so
This was the more interesting. No, 100%. This was the more interesting ending.
Yeah, I rolled the die of fate specifically for Daniel based on what he said he wanted, and it came up negative. So I decided.
No, 100% the right thing. It was awesome.
Yep.
I'm just not sure it's worthy of congratulations.
I want to do a really quick kind of debrief, but I don't want to do Roses and Thorns since in the podcast this week, Jason and Kate were just like, no, stop doing Roses and Thorns. And I think they had a good insight there that it kind of encourages like a strict sort of bifurcation of good and bad stuff. I mean, it's always stressful to be put on the spot to like, oh, now I have to say something critical.
It's
so
oftentimes tough.
I'd like to instead just kind of ask you, what did you notice and what will you remember about the session? And we'll just go for a few minutes. And I know we're about 5 minutes over time since I wanted to end at 11. But we'll just go for a few minutes. And some people are in Germany, and it's very late at night.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, like, what did you notice, and what will you remember about this session? And then I'll have a couple of follow-up questions from there. But just I can call on people, or I can just let you guys chime in.
Why don't we start with Philip, since he's the latest, right?
Yeah.
Well, I will stay for the other feedback, so that won't have an effect. But I can start. I guess the ending was the most memorable part. Like what I think now will be the most memorable part was how the characters ended up, and the vampires coming out of their tombs, and that's yeah.
Awesome.
I think that will be the story element that I will remember most. Also, I will remember that insight is the right stat for what I wanted my character to do and not resolve. So
great. Okay.
Some misbuild or whatever you may call it.
All right. Jesse, anything from you?
Yeah, so I think things that I noticed. One thing I picked up on that I liked a lot about the session is the number of questions you asked us about everything. Like that was it was persistent throughout sort of each step. What do you see? What do you notice? What do you I mean, aside from the obvious, what do you do? But that's something that was very cool, and that I don't always pick up on. But you were very, very well placed. And in terms of the thing I'm gonna walk away from, the thing I'm gonna really remember the most is the number of questions I still have about the City of Enoch and these Lewin vampires, and what did Antoinette want? The goal of that NPC is super mysterious to me in a good way, right? I don't really know. There's a lot of questions, and I like that. That sticks with me. I think I will continue mulling that over for a while.
Yeah. What about you, Brian? What sort of jumped out at you that you'll remember?
I think so. I've always wanted to play in like a Vampire the Masquerade or Hunter the Reckoning type game. I've never been able to do it. I've read a ton of books on them, but I've never been able to play it. And I felt like I finally got a chance to play it. And something that I always wondered how I would do, which you did very successfully, was you gave us that true sense that we were pawns, that there were these much more powerful beings, that had plans that we couldn't even understand. And, ultimately, the guys were right. We should have just blown it as soon as we got there. It was the right move, but Gavi was hoping that this ancient being would hold up its end of the bargain. And, it was just this constantly where we just did not know, did we really have free will? They were just using us like pieces on a board. It was cool. And the thing that I'll remember is, like you guys said, the end. The loss of the Numinous by Daniel, the loss of True Choice by Nate, and then the loss of humanity by Gavi. Like those, that's a pretty cool ending, man. That's it's memorable. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, I noticed, like I wasn't sure what to expect choices wise that you guys would make, but you made just interesting ones that always push me to try to figure out what I could do. I felt like I got into I noticed feeling like I was getting into a little rut with with sort of the essentially the labyrinth below the city. And I had wanted to kind of avoid that being too much of a rut, but I didn't want it to be I didn't want it to be a slog crawl where I had like a detailed map and you had to go to the right space. I wanted it to be a little bit more like a labyrinth move. And so I had a clock for not succeeding and a clock for succeeding, and sort of was kind of filling that in.
That's cool.
So, Philip, thank you for kind of creating the character who could successfully navigate that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So that's you guys were just constantly pushing me to make decisions that I had not known or expected to make. I do want to say, like, if running this again, or going through this again, if you were a player in that session again, what would you want to see either more of, or what would you want to see less of?
I can't exactly answer it for this session alone, but for the whole 2-session arc, I would say I would get to Enoch faster. I would start with the plane going down and just cut in there. And, just speed it up so we have more of the setting and more time to explore the city, and maybe some more above ground. That would be I think that would be something I would change. And maybe if you wanted to add more options, or don't have the players feel like they are tied to Antoinette, then some hint of another way to enter the city.
Yeah, thank you, because I had that same sort of intuition.
Right.
Of course, I didn't get that intuition until after we started the plane ride. So, and it took forever for the plane to go down. So I didn't get that until after I'd done it wrong. So, or done it in ways I would do it differently in the future. So, but thank you. Anything from you, Jesse?
So at the end of the last session, the thing I sort of said I wanted was to get lost.
Yeah.
And I feel like I said both sort of like physically lost in the city and also kind of like spiritually lost. So the second half definitely happened. Like that was awesome. Like the way we were sort of able to play that out in that battle and in the end. But I think similar to what Phil said, like the city itself, we didn't really get to see. I don't know if that's reasonable. Like I don't know what the source material.
I think I definitely could have. I definitely could have spread this out over more sessions. It would be hard to like really see the city in 2 sessions.
Right.
It's like having a day. It's like having a day and a half to see a city when you're on a tour.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But I think spreading this out over more sessions would have been wise, and definitely getting to see more of the above ground city and have more choices for who you sort of connected with and wanted to work with would have been good. Brian, anything from you?
Yeah, no, I think the same thing with maybe seeing more of the city. I mean, I just, as far as what I wanted to see, that I would have liked to see more of the city. I was curious about it. I was particularly curious about who these keepers were that, had at least one lycanthrope with them. I thought that was a really cool creature, and I was curious to see if we were going to run into them again. So
that was my random old white wolf masquerade or old white wolf Easter egg that was an aberration. So it was a vampire werewolf.
That was cool.
I recognized it.
Yes. It's one of those things that everybody actually really absolutely hated, because as soon as they were introduced as terrible bad things that could happen, everybody wanted to play one.
Of course.
Every 13-year-old wanted to play one. And when I was 25, I still wanted to play one because I had the PC maturity of a 13. So I really wish we could have spent more time with that. So I think if I run something like this again, I will definitely invest in more sessions and giving that first session a little more space to breathe. But anyway, thank you guys. I'm going to stop the broadcast.